So I want to have a quick chat to you when you're driving about overtaking. Whenever you're overtaking and there's two lanes, but they're both going in opposite directions, you need to wait till you have a broken line on your side before you can overtake. The line has to be a broken line. It can't be unbroken. It can't be one solid line. And then you need to make sure that you've got a decent line of sight prior to going onto the wrong side of the road for the purpose of overtaking only. Now the other thing too is road trains and very large trucks. Now some of these trucks and some of these road trains can be longer than 30 or 40 meters. Some of them can be 50 or 60 meters depending on how much load they have and where they're going to. Vehicles that we have that are going up to the mines, for example, from the metropolitan area, they're going north to the mines or east to the mines. Those vehicles have got very, very heavy loads and they are really, really long in length. Now a quick tip for you for when you are going to overtake vehicles like that is the 12-second rule. The 12-second rule is basically after you enter the wrong side of the road, it should only take you 12 seconds to get past that vehicle and get back into your side. So 12 seconds give or take. So when you do pass onto the wrong side of the road on your broken line, you want to make sure that you've got more than adequate space, or at least 12 seconds worth of line of sight as a minimum to get past that vehicle. Now a lot of road train drivers, a lot of the major truck drivers and stuff like that, they will give you a signal when it is completely clear for you to overtake them. Generally what they will do is they will give a couple of quick flicks on their right indicator, and that will basically, it says to you, I've got a better line of sight than you, I can see that it's completely clear. If you're comfortable to overtake me, it is safe to do so. So in which case you still need to check, because they could have accidentally knocked their indicator or something like that. Generally that's not the case, but you do need to check because you need personal peace of mind. Once they've done that and you've overtaken successfully and you're back onto the correct side of the road, do them the courtesy and give them a couple of flicks with your right indicator. That's just to tell them, you know what, thanks very much for helping me out, right on. Now the other thing too is when you're passing a road train, occasionally they will flick up a lot of stones. They'll flick stones from the tyres up into the air. Some of them are very small, some of them can be a little bit bigger. Now the problem with this is it can do damage to your windscreen. So what you want to do is when you're passing, you want to take one finger and place it against your windscreen just as you go past. Now the reason for that is because if a rock does hit your windscreen, it's going to take the impact out of it by your finger touching it, and what will happen is you will get a chip instead of your windscreen getting a large crack or shattering. Most of the time it's only Australian standards, Australian New Zealand standard windscreens that are capable of doing that. However, there are some other countries around the world that do have similar style windscreens. But the Australian standard, New Zealand standard windscreens are capable of doing that if you put a little bit of pressure on them with just one finger. I know some people say you've got to put your whole hand on it, you need to lean against it. You don't need to do anything like that. It's just simply touching the windscreen, and if you do happen to get a stone fly up, it will just chip your windscreen and away you go. You can just keep going, it's only a chip. Depending on where the chip is, you still will need to have your windscreen changed, but it's going to be a lot better getting a chip than it is having a shattered windscreen on your trip. Now, the other thing too is when you're on regional roads, regardless of the time of day or night, and regardless of the type of vehicle that you drive, you should have your headlights on. Your headlights are going to make other vehicles see you a lot easier. So it's just a simple flick of the finger and your headlights are on. There's no need to worry about them. You just plod along as per normal, no issues. And other vehicles coming from the other, especially coming from the other direction, are going to see you easier. The other thing that's really handy on a regional road is a UHF. Now, in Western Australia, generally the trucks are on channel 40, and you can call them up on your two-way radio and you can ask them if it's clear prior to overtaking and things like that. Most of the truckies are more than happy to just have a quick chat with you about the road conditions ahead and what they can see. They are higher up than you, they can see a lot further than you. The other thing too is if you have a truck or a loaded road train or something similar in front of you and you got to go around them, whether it's a single lane, dual carriageway, whatever, give them a lot of space before pulling in front of them. A lot of people just see the gap in front of them and just pull in. Trucks cannot stop anywhere near as effective as regular vehicles. They've got so much weight behind them that they need a lot more space to stop. They need a lot more space to slow down, and you should be giving them the courtesy of that. They have got great brake systems in these larger trucks, especially the road trains and stuff. They are regularly checked and they are regularly tested, but you do need to give them space. They can't just stop when you need them to stop. It's dangerous. Pulling in front of them is dangerous, especially if it's a unsealed road, if the weather conditions are bad, if it's raining, if the road is wet, if there's some type of loose material on it, maybe a little bit of gravel, some sand. If you're closer to the coast, you could have had sand blow onto the road, which makes the actual road surface a bit slipperier, and these vehicles are going to need extra space for braking. So if you see a gap in front of a vehicle, in front of a truck, sorry, it's a gap between them and the vehicle in front of them. Generally, they're not making that gap so you can just slip in front of them. They're making the gap so if they need to brake and in some type of emergency, then they've got the option of slowing down with a safe area, so there's no impact to vehicles in front of them or anywhere else on the road. Whenever you're on the roads, you just want to maintain safety. Everybody wants to be safe on the roads, so just be safe.